What's up, Raider Nation? Silver and Black Attack coming at you again with another video. Today we're going to go over a game preview of the Raiders and Ravens game that's coming on this Sunday.
Yeah, so obviously coming off of a pretty embarrassing loss against the Chargers in week one, and NFL did us no favors, sending us to Baltimore week two, which is a terrible matchup for us. The Ravens coming off a hard-fought loss against the Kansas City Chiefs in week one, so they're going to be coming out motivated to play against us. And, I think we'll start with the elephant in the room is Lamar Jackson. Lamar is a guy we've been able to contain in the past. We beat him just a few years back under John Gruden, but I don't see that happening again. We had the Gus Bradley system last time, and that was really effective against running quarterbacks. Patrick Graham, I think, is a great coordinator, but him drawing up a game plan against Lamar Jackson, it's a tough task. And considering the fact that Tyree Wilson is now hurt, as well as Malcolm Kuntz, we don't have that edge presence. We have Charles Snowden starting at left end, which is just a recipe for disaster against a guy like Lamar Jackson. And, I want to hit another X factor I have for the game. That's Divine Diablo. He was a guy who played really bad against the Chargers. He lost containment a few times, took the wrong gaps in the run game, let Herbert, scramble at the running back scramble, and get loose in the second level of the defense. And PFF, who I often use as a metric to judge the player's success, Divine Diablo had a 28 grade against the Chargers, which is beyond bad. It's a 0 to 100 scale, and you got a 28%, which is like really bad. That's honestly one of the worst performances I've seen in a long time. And so he needs to step up his game. He played a lot better last season. I don't know why he's taking a step back now. I don't know if he's injured or something's wrong there, but he's got to play better to be that spy against Lamar Jackson, which you really need to play well against the Ravens.
Yeah, and when it comes to the defense, stopping Lamar Jackson is obviously a tall task for anyone. And I would say the other thing to note is that the way the Ravens lost the last game against the Chiefs, we saw it that last play, foot was out of bounds, like toe was like just on the white. And they were going to go for two. If they scored, they were going to go for two and, come out with, maybe they would have got the win there because you saw that, John Harbaugh was going to go for two there if they had scored. Got overturned. They lost on a BS. And now week two, they're coming home. They're going to be really hungry for a win. And I think they are preying on a wounded Raiders team who is, dealing with that, like you said, that defensive end spot. They're thin in the DN room. They only have three DNs who are active right now. And they have Caleb Chazon, who we just made a video on the other day, who they just signed to the practice squad, who will be elevated for the game. Antonio Pierce just said it on the press conference earlier today that he will be elevated and he'll get going, and he has some untapped potential. AP said, but overall, Lamar Jackson could just run wild on us. He ran for 122 yards against the Chiefs, and the Chiefs defense is a two-time back-to-back Super Bowl championship defense that stayed the same for the most part over the last 3 years. So if you consider all this into, accountability, plus mix it with that our offense cannot score. Our offense had difficulty against the Chargers, who were one of the worst defenses in the league statistically. Like your PFF grades, you know, they have been one of the worst defenses consistently. And coming in, they weren't ranked very high, and the Raiders only put up 10 points against them. They shot themselves in the foot. AP talked about this today. They really hurt themselves. Raiders hurt the Raiders like they always do. Fumbles, the bad pump fake by Minshew that led to a fumble, Zamir White getting the ball knocked out of his hand. Like those kind of plays just can't happen. And like if you think about it, this could be a really disastrous game for the Raiders. They struggle on the East Coast window. We know that. We've seen it. They do really bad every time they go to the East Coast. I think they're like 1-9 in their last 10 East Coast games over the past like 2, 3 years. So, I mean, to all you, diehard fans who, really want to believe that the Raiders are going to win this game, we give it to you honestly. We always come honest with you guys. We're as big as a Raider fans than anyone. And we'll give it to you straight up. This is not going to be pretty. And I hope we're wrong. I hope we come on Sunday night and we're wrong and we say, hey, we were wrong. Our apologies. But I mean, if I had to pick here, I'm taking the Ravens in this game, and it's not even going to be close. It's going to be a blowout. I think the Raiders will have a hard time even scoring 10 points with the offensive line. Yes, I feel like we were hard on Minshew. He just made so many mistakes, but the offensive line did fold and gave him no time, which I have been seeing back looking at the film. So I'm going to go ahead and pick the Ravens here in like a 38 to 10, 38 to 7 type game, where the Raiders just get obliterated in that early 10 a.m. window.
Yeah, and I would agree with you because, like you hit on the line a little bit, they just were crumbling against the Chargers. And it wasn't that one player was a liability. Every single player on the offensive line was getting pushed backwards. And that you can't have that in the NFL with a quarterback like Gardner Minshew, who everyone said he was going to be a scrambler and, use his legs and move out. And I blame Luke Getsy for just not letting him do that. That's what he's best at. And he was just a statue in the pocket, which when you have a crumbling offensive line, Colton Miller was just getting worked by Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa. Munford, again, nothing special. And our interior was just terrible. Dylan Parham, Andre James, and Cody Whiter especially they were just not doing anything on that interior offensive line. I don't know if Jackson Powers Johnson is going to be back. I doubt it. Like you said, he's been dealing with like the flu for 4 weeks. I don't know where he's been, throughout training camp and now in the regular season. He's missed a lot of time. And unfortunately, it looks like he's going to be a bust. But moving back on the Raven game, I have a feeling Minshew's going to get sacked like 5 or 6 times. Their defensive line, they have guys like Justin Matabuke and Odafe Owe. Like they have a lot of studs up front. And Roquan Smith, he's another dog that they have at the linebacker position. Their front seven's elite, and I just think our offensive line is going to fold again in Baltimore. 10 a.m. game, like you said, it's not a good recipe for us. I think we probably will score a few garbage time touchdowns, hopefully get some Devontae fantasy points from me. But I think we're going to lose probably 38-14 is my final prediction. I hate saying that because I had hope going in the season because our roster is just so stacked. But unfortunately, the coaching and quarterback are just not there. And, we're predicting, like I said, it's just going to be a long season. And I think this is the start of just pain for Raider Nation.
Yeah, and to look ahead at the schedule, it's not like, okay, yes, you see two easy games, quote unquote easy, but every game is hard when you're a bad team. Every game is hard when you're a poorly coached team. Every game is hard when your offensive line struggles. Every game is hard when you make careless turnovers and when you don't have a quarterback. Gardner Minshew, like everyone has been saying, is not a starting quarterback in this league. He's not a starting quarterback. Take that how you will. Yes, the line played garbage, but he is not a starting quarterback. And that is just the simple fact of it. He's not a starting quarterback. And you guys just, everyone has to just accept that. The Raiders are really in a bridge season. And it seems like we say this every other year. The Raiders are in, oh, they have like this and bridge that, and they don't know if they're gonna, have this quarterback next year or someone else next year. And it started back in 22 when, the season was coming to an end. Carr got benched for Stiddy, and Stiddy came out and played well in the last two games, but lost both of them, of course. We always lose. That's just the Raiders. I mean, it's getting frustrating to a point. And now, of course, like you mentioned to start, the NFL screwed us over again and having us go to Baltimore now for week two. And like Buffalo last year in week two, it was just not pretty. It was not pretty. Garoppolo turned the ball over, and I don't see Minshew being much better than Jimmy G. And, let's just say Jimmy G took a team to a Super Bowl. And obviously they lost, but he still took them to the Super Bowl, right? Gardner Minshew comes in and wins 5, 6 games, 7 games last year, and then gets money to be a backup quarterback, but then gets the start. So yeah, Raider Nation, it's going to be interesting. We'll see what happens, and yeah, we'll tune in after the game and go over what we saw. But yeah, Silver and Black Attack signing off.